Yeah, so when I first got into it, I put about 20 grand into an account on the first live account that I started, and I was risking about $2,000 a trade. I was trading with like 10 or 12 minis, and I was like, all right, I'll risk 2 grand. I got 10 shots at making this, And I did that for about 6 months, and I blew up the account. And then I was like, all right, I'll dump another 20 into it.
So today we're going to be trading with my buddy Tank. He's going to show us his strategy that had him win 20 out of the last 21 days. And it's not what you think it is. It has a lot to do more with risk management. So let's get the video started right now. What is your secret?
Yeah, so recently, the last 2 weeks, I switched over to a 3 minute specifically. I'm watching a 3 minute chart on Top Step, and then I'm watching a 1 minute over here on my TradingView account. And essentially, what I do is I pull up a paper trading account, and I have this order, calculator essentially over here, right? So let's say, for example, I want to go short here, and I want my risk to be right above this candle, and the entry is going to be somewhere around this green line. I would just measure that out. It's like 107 ticks. So I'd come over here and go 107, and it auto calculates and tells me I can use 5 contracts because I have my risk set at 300. Which you come down here, you set the risk. You set the risk to USD risk, and you put the amount of risk you want. You 300, 500, 3,000, whatever you want to do, and it auto calculates what your risk is going to be. So you know what I mean? So like I'm using micros right now, but let's say if I want to take a short here with, again, this risk 131, let's say I want to risk $100 on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It'll tell me to put 131, it's 1 micro. So I could go 1 micro, right? So now I could just put this down here. So there's my, I got a little bit of lower entry, but it basically keeps your risk, the same essentially. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Easy there,
Does
champ. I
that
don't
make
want you to
sense?
get hurt on our regard here.
No, it's all good, bro. I hit this huge run up. I mean, I lost a little bit in the morning, but then I hit the run up to make it up. I think it's got to cool off a little bit here. I think
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think it will. Well, nice. Look at you. You're already in the green. I want half.
There you go. Let's go. But this calculator on the paper trading account is definitely huge. I mean, it helps tremendously.
Yeah, so the calculators on TradingView, I mean, sorry, on Top Step, but I think TradingView has the same thing, right?
Just open up a paper trading account. You go to trade. It brings up this calculator. So what I do is I split my screens. I have this screen on the right side, and then I have my Top Step X on the other side. And I've been, like I said, I've been looking at a 3 minute chart. I closed that trade, by the way. That's short. I took a little bit of money off it. But let's say hypothetically you thought it was going to reverse here, right? So you would say, all right, I'm going to enter right about here. I'm going to put my stop loss down here. That's 209 ticks. So you come over here, you set this beforehand, and you set, all right, I want to risk $300 in this trade. And you put over here 209, and it auto calculates up here 2 micro contracts. That's what I could go in. If I wanted to enter here with a stop loss here, it tells me how many contracts to use. Let's say I want to risk $1,000, and I set that to 1,000. And again, let's say I want to put my stop loss down at this low over here. Well, that's 357 ticks. I come over here, 357. Well, I'm allowed to go in with 5 contracts, micro contracts at this entry with a stop loss down here. Does that make sense?
How has this helped you be profitable the
Oh,
last
shoot.
20 out of 21 days?
So, well, two things I changed, is I used to watch the 1 minute and the 15 second, and there was just too many, like, it's just too many false signals. So I changed to the 3 minute and the 1 minute on this. I have a split screen, so I have the 3 minute on my Top Step and the 1 minute on the trading view. And like I said, keeping my risk at the same level. So I've been risking about $300 a trade on micros. It's very consistent. So I know, like, okay, it's not all over the place. It's not like, oh, this trade I'm risking 500, next trade I'm risking 200. I'm risking the same exact amount. And I've been averaging, like, my stats are about anywhere from a 2.5 to 3 to 1 risk reward, sometimes a little bit lower. And I'm like a 50% win rate. And so 50% of the time I'm winning, but I'm keeping my risk consistent, which has been helping.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, because sometimes, like you said, if you're one trade you're risking 200, the next one you're risking 700. If you're even if you're like a 50-50
Can
trader,
you hear me?
which is good, you could end up taking an L, or over time you could definitely lose money that way. So this is helping you with your risk management, is what you're saying.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So now that I'm keeping my risk at the same spot every time, no matter what, which and it fluctuates because depending on how the market's moving, like especially the last couple of days, because the VIX just took off, the market's moving like insane. I mean, this one candle is 100, almost 200 ticks in one 3 minute candle. You know, it helps you keep consistent because otherwise, if you're trying to go in with one mini contract, let's say every single time, well, if your stop loss is behind this candle, this low here, I mean, that's like, it's going to be really tough, So, the way I look at it is like if I'm going to risk $300 a trade, well, if I ever get to the point where I want to risk, let's say $600 a trade, and I'm using 20 micros, well, that's two minis. So then maybe at that point I'll switch over to minis, right? But if I'm using anywhere from 20 and less, because I could use 15 micros, I could use 7 micros, 10 micros, 20 micros. If I go above 20 micros, then I'll switch back to the minis. But until then, I'm gonna stick with the micros, and it's been working great because you still can make a lot of money if you're risking 300 and you're getting a 2 to 3 risk reward. You're making anywhere from 600 to $900 a trade. You know,
Tank's been trading. How long you been trading, bud?
I started day trading back in 2017, Bitcoin specifically. Did that for about a year or so. Then I stopped. I've been trading full time. I sold my business. I've been trading full time since December of last year. So for a full year, every day, 5 days a week, basically, I've been trading, and it's taken me this long to get consistent. I mean, it's a grind, man. Every day I've been trading. So I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I'm going to continue. I'm really I'm into it. I love it. Yeah, so when I first got into it, I put about 20 grand into an account on the first live account that I started, and I was risking about $2,000 a trade. I was trading with like 10 or 12 minis, and I was like, all right, I'll risk 2 grand. I got 10 shots at making this. And I did that for about 6 months, and I blew up the account. And then I was like, all right, I'll dump another 20 into it. I did that same thing for another like 4 months. I kept the account live. I took some withdrawals, but I could never really get consistent. And then that's when I talked to you, and you're like, yeah, I'm trading full time now. And you told me about the prop firms, which I knew about, but I just like, you know what? If I got my own live money, it's just easier. I don't have to follow rules. But what the prop firm did for me when I got connected to it, which I haven't gotten a withdrawal yet. I've only been doing it for about 3 months now. Close to getting to a live account, but and I blew up a couple live accounts. But what firm helped me is to get more realistic as far as my risk, and to help me get to that point where I care about being more consistent. And eventually I'll go back to a live account once I get consistent. Even with a prop firm account, I'm definitely going to go back.
Yeah.
But this is all like, for me, this, I feel like this is a college education. It's taking about a year, even if it takes 2 years. Think about it. You go to college for 4 years, you spend 200 grand, and you come out, what are you making, 50, 60 grand? Like, you know what I mean? So if I blow 50 grand learning this over 24 months, and then you can make unlimited money at that point, it's worth it for me. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what it's helped my trading with the prop firms is the rules. I never even thought about having rules, and when speaking to you, I think we were both kind of like we needed that. We kind of needed a little bit of like the structure to our trading, and I think we'll come out on the other end all right. Now, Gus has a question for you, bud. He says, how do you adjust the volatility and for different markets? So how do you adjust to volatility and different market regimens? So how do you adjust the volatility? Let's just say, like, for instance, like FOMC, crazy day, right? How do you adjust the volatility on days like that as opposed to maybe a sideways day?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really the same concept. I mean, if you come over to this calculator and you just go to USD risk, let's say for that day, because it's super volatile, you only want to risk $200 on a trade. So you would just put in here $200, and then you would go into the chart and you say, all right, I think, again, just for an example, I think it's going to dump here. Well, I want my stop loss to be above this high. So I'm going to measure this high over here and see, okay, it's 103 ticks. So I come over here to my calculator, I put 103 ticks. Well, it tells me right now I could go short with 3 contracts, and that's going to risk 100. Well, it's risking $154.
Okay.
Again, and you could adjust that. So that's what's keeping my risk consistent, as opposed to before. If you're always like, all right, I'm always trading with one mini. If I go in here with one mini, and now you're risking, 115 ticks, 28 points with one mini, that's 10 of these. So you're looking at $500. So
Yep.
now instead of risking my 150 that I want to risk, I'm really risking $515. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you ever adjust your stop? Do you ever adjust your risk that you're willing to put on based on the ATR? I think that's kind of like what Gus is saying. So like if we
Yes,
go ahead.
I have. So when I first started doing this, I was risking $150 a trade because I was
Yeah.
like, let me just test this out. That's how I started. It was 150, and then the one day I got ahead of myself, like you said, because you start getting consistent. You're like, all right, I got this. I got this. So I bumped it to 600. I'm like, screw it, I'll just risk 600, and I took a loss, and it hurt because like you make you're risking 150 to make 300, 400, and then you take a $600 loss. It's like, oh shit. So I backed it down to 300, and for the last like 7 days I've been risking about $300 a trade. And like I said, I mean, eventually I'll bump that risk up, or and if it's moving really crazy like yesterday and today, you could just lower your risk, wherever you want to be for that day.
Got it, brother. Design Knob wants to know how on earth do you let winners run on NQ and MNQ? Even the minor pullbacks will stop you out
All
unless
right,
it's
so yeah,
true.
I'll tell you
Unless it's a
exactly.
true trend day, he says, like today.
So I got beat up this morning on the open. I was actually long here, thinking that this thing was just going to take off. It came back down and hit my stop loss. So I was actually down for like $400 when I first started the day, and then I saw this bullish engulfing 3-minute candle. I look at a lot of things. I look at mainly market structure and candle, the candles.
Yeah.
On a 3-minute, you see a bullish engulfing candle like this. Typically, what happens is you'll get the next one or two candles a small pullback, like you got here, and then it'll rip to the upside. So essentially, I got in on once I hit my stop loss here, and I saw this bullish engulfing. I re-entered, okay, with a stop loss below here.
Yeah.
So that's why I only had like three. I only had like
Yeah. That was at 10 o'clock
three
news.
micros because it was a huge. Yes, yeah. So then I got in, and then what I typically do is I'll follow market structure, and I put my stop loss behind 3-minute red candles essentially. As soon as it closes above that, I just follow it right there. So I went, basically here, and I kept following it. I think I wind up taking. I think I wound up closing my trade around here because I was like, this thing's got to pull back, and
Yeah.
I could have held it and made so much more money, but that's how I stayed in this trade from basically here to here this morning with 3 micros. I made $1,200, and then I threw some of it back trying to short it up here, but.
That's nice, dude. That's impressive. Great job, man. And you're trading full time, right? This is your only gig right now?
Yeah, I'm trading full time, man. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. One of our guys earlier today was asking, how do you deal with fear? I think it was JTJ wanted to
So
know how you deal
again,
with fear as a trader.
I mean, for me, like lowering your time, your horizon, like when I first got into it, I wanted to get into it to make money right away because this is my only form of income. I mean, I have some money coming in other platforms, but for my job, it's my first time never having a job. I sold my business and I don't have an actual job. So for me, it's like I'm used to working the last 20 years, went to work every day. It's like, okay, I'm basically semi-retired now, but I still want to make money. Like, so I'm like, I was so like worried about making money that day. And once I changed my mindset from that perspective to like, this is a beast. I need to learn this. I need to put the time and effort in to learn this. I don't want to expect to make money out of it. And I basically let that go to not expect the money, just expect the education over the next 12 to 24 months is when it really helped me with the fear. And then obviously trading with the prop firms. I mean, you're risking, like right now, I risked $300 on these two accounts over the last 2 weeks. So it's like, yeah, I've been trading for 2 weeks with $300 of risk. Like it's really nothing compared to what I was risking. I was risking $2,000 a trade. I mean, I sometimes walk out with 10 grand loss for the day.
And that's real
Other days I
capital.
made 25. You know, yeah.
Yeah. So just fixing your time horizon and your expectations really helped you with the fear.
100%,
Yeah.
100% is definitely helped, and lowering the my risk, risk reward. Like I used to go for massive pumps, and like I'd like to just get a 2 or 3 risk reward. I'm happy.
That's great, dude. Yeah, because if you can do it with 2 or 3 minis and you've finessed your strategy and you feel confident, you could do it with 20 minis. It's no difference.
Yeah,
There's no difference
yep,
at all. Execution is exactly the same, but it's just you just have to get that strategy right. So instead of practicing with, and we're blessed because I was talking to a trader the other day. He was here. His name is Dustin. He was telling me when he learned there were no micros. He would have loved to learn on micros. He's like, there were no prop firms, there were no micros. He's like, I learned on freaking minis, and just like you, and take advantage, guys. If you guys are new, use the micros, man. Use them. They're there for a reason.
It's been huge. That's been huge for me. I mean, this is the first time that I went 2 weeks basically all green except for one day. I had a losing day, $300, which was not bad. It was basically a 1 hour loss. So this is my one red day in the last 2 weeks. So I'm feeling pretty good about it now. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes over the next 2 weeks.
All right. Last question for you. How do you get yourself okay with a red day and you just don't want to revenge trade it, especially when you're on a winning streak like this? Your ego tells you, come on, man, you've been on fire for 3 weeks. You can turn this red day, this minor red day, into a green day. At what point do you like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it as a red day.
So for me, it's like when you start seeing signals that are your signals for, like I was saying before, like this bullish engulfing candle, right? 9 out of 10 times, if you see that, if for me, my setup is like, all right, bullish engulfing, this thing's going to pull back and then it's going to take off. When those things start to fail, the 9 out of 10 times signals that usually work in your favor, and they're not working in your favor because the market's just moving like silly and it's not really moving the typical way they're used to, is I just walk away. I'm just like, you know what? Especially if it's like noon, I'll trade up to about noon. By that time, if the market's not moving in the way I want it to move and it's not doing the things I think it's going to do, I just walk away, man. Like you just have to, because I've been down that road, bro, where I've revenge traded. I've done all that. I've, smashed my keyboards. I've been through the ringer, and you just have to learn from those days and just say like, all right, I'm not letting this happen again, And over the last 12 months, bro, I've walked away. I got to tell you, at least 2 or 3 times where I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. Like, this is not a job. This is gambling. I went through all that, but I always come back and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not giving up. Like, I'm gonna learn this, and I'm not, because if there's guys doing it and they're making money, which obviously there is, that means anybody can do it. You just have to put the effort into the time, and you have to just give it time. It's got to be, you have to be patient, with it, is what I learned,
Yeah, I think the last few minutes of what you just said are probably the most impactful of your entire stream here, because people need to know that they're not alone, dude. What you feel, I'm sure everyone has felt. Even Gus the Trader says he likes your mindset. He's like, the only thing he can tell you is learn order flow. He's the order flow guy. Gus loves order flow. So yeah, dude, everything you're saying is great, man. Thank you for that. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, man, that's pretty much it, man. It's it's fun watching you trade every day. I'm usually either listening in on your stream, or I chime in once in a while if I can. But keep up the good work, man. It's fun to watch you trade as well.
Thank you, man. Gus the Trader says he'll help you, dude, with order flow. If you reach out to him on Discord, I'm sure he'll share with you any information he thinks you might need.
Yeah, no, sounds good, man. I'm interested in that. I mean, I tried this footprint charts for a little while.
Yeah.
I thought I came up with a plan with that, and then this has been working for me the last couple of weeks, so I feel pretty confident now. But
Good.
Anything could change here,
Yeah, keeping it simple until you figure it out.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you, brother. I'll see you back on stream.
All right, man.
Take care.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
Bye-bye. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and join our Discord, which is linked down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Love you, and we'll see you next time.